House will come back to order. The clerk will ring the bell. Clerk will ring the bell. The clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions. The clerk will read.
Recognizing and commending Miss Jessica Carter. Recognizing and commending Miss Cassandra Bolt. Recognizing and commending Mr. Wade Knight. Honoring H. Neil Florence on the occasion of his retirement. Honoring the life and memory of Leanne Noble. Recognizing and commending Elks Aidmore Incorporated on the occasion of its 75th anniversary. Commending Dominique Alia White on her service as an intern for the Georgia House Democratic Caucus. Recognizing and commending Julie Califf. That completes the reading of privilege resolutions.
You lost me on a few of those, Mr. Clerk. Is there objection to the adoption of the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. This House will be at order. We're going to take up some business. What purpose does the chairman of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee rise?
To be recognized for a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask that this House transfer House Resolution 1805 from Judiciary Non-Civil to Public Safety, Homeland Security. Both chairmen have agreed.
Clerk will read the caption.
House Resolution number 1805 by Representative Powell, the 32nd, creating the House Study Committee on DUI recidivism and driver's license suspensions and reinstatements, and for other purposes.
On the motion of the chairman that House Resolution 1805 be withdrawn from the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee and committed to the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee, is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Chair recognizes the Dean of the House, Chairman Smyrie, for a motion.
It's on. The button is on, but the mic is not on. It's on now. Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'd like to ask the House to agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1080.
Chairman Smyrie has moved that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1080. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1080 by Representative Smyrie, the 135th, to amend Chapter 3, Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating the state flag, seal, and other symbols, so as to provide for the placement of a statue of the Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr.
Chair recognizes Chairman Smyrie to explain the Senate substitute to House Bill 1080.
Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, we sent 1080, the bill to build a statue in memory and honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, and we had in there that the statue we placed on the grounds of the Capitol be paid for by private funds. What the Senate did, as you recall, that was a letter that was written dealing with intellectual property rights on behalf of the King family, and what the Senate amendment does was that the state would be granted any intellectual property license necessary for the purpose of the code section, which means, therefore, we would get permission from the family prior to the building of the statue. And in agreement with that, we agreed to accept the Senate amendment so that the state would be on the safe side of the equation. And so thusly, when the bill is passed and signed by the governor, we will receive permission from the family to continue to proceed with the structure of the statue. Representative Wilkerson and I are chairing the committee and working together to come up with the necessary funds. I want to make it abundantly clear that this will be done with private funds. And in my discussions with the minority leader and the majority leader, this has been a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank both of them, as well as the Representative Brooks and Representative Wilkerson, for their effort in this. So what we'd like to do today is accept the Senate amendment, which would protect the state and make sure that we get the permission from the family and the intellectual property management group, and move forward and get this done and get the bill to the governor's office, and so that we can start the process on finding an appropriate spot and thusly placing the statue of Dr. King on the grounds of the state capitol. With that, Mr. Speaker, that's it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any questions any member may have at this time.
You have a couple of questions if you care to yield.
I will, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the House Transportation Committee, Chairman Roberts, to your right for a question. He waves. Chair recognizes Representative Donahue to your right for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, I yield.
And this is paid for out of private funds, as you said, and the King family will not receive any monetary value for
The gentleman
anything
is
for
correct.
Thank you very much.
No one will receive, this will be free for anyone to come on the Capitol grounds to review and reflect or to visit on the Capitol grounds, and no monetary value is involved in it whatsoever.
You have no further questions?
With that, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank everyone for their support of this bill, and I'd like to agree to the Senate amendment on House Bill 1080. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
On the gentleman's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1080, all those in favor of the motion will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 171, the nays are 2, and this House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1080. What purpose does Chairman Jacobs rise?
Make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I move to temporarily suspend the rules so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Jacobs of the 80th to amend Title 7 and Chapter 5 of Title 18 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to banking and finance and debtor and creditor.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Judiciary. Chair recognizes Representative Epps for a motion.
Speaker, I move that this House agree to the Senate substitute of House Bill 881.
Representative Epps has moved that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 881. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 881 by Representative Epps of the 144th. To amend Code Section 40-2-86 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to special license plates, promoting and supporting beneficial projects or entities, so as to provide for a new special license plate for the Grady Health Foundation.
Chair recognizes Representative Epps to explain the Senate substitute to House Bill 881.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 881 left the House. It was a bill authorizing the creation of a specialty tag for the Grady Health Foundation to assist them in their work. In the Senate, there were changes made that proposed to change the context of this bill. The changes were it changed the fees and revenue allocation of special license plate that support non-game and endangered wildlife conservation, trout conservation, and bobwhite quail restoration programs that are administered by the Wildlife Resources Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. In addition, in that bill, I think in lines 28 through 46, there was some transparency and accountability that became part of this bill. Before the department disperses any funds to any agency or nonprofit corporation from the sale of these special license plates, such agency or nonprofit corporation must provide a written statement stating the manner in which such funds shall be utilized. And if a nonprofit is the recipient of these funds, it must and shall provide the department with documentation of its nonprofit status under the Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. Additionally, the agency, fund, and the nonprofit corporation must periodically provide to the commissioner an audit of the use of these funds or other evidence of the use of funds satisfactory to the commissioner. Any agency, fund, or nonprofit corporation which receives funds under the subsection of this code section must submit annually to members of the Senate Natural Resources and Environment Committee, the House Committee on Game, Fish, and Parks, the House Committee on Appropriations, as well as the Senate Appropriations Committee, and to the Commission of Natural Resources, a detailed audit containing the disposition and expenditure of all funds received from such sales. This funding will maintain a critical avenue of funding for the conservation program in the Wildlife Resources Division. The Non-Game Wildlife Conservation Fund is the only source of state funds for the conservation of non-game wildlife and includes the endangered species and at-risk species. Non-game funds are equally as well and critical to match of federal programs of wildlife conservation, including the state wildlife program. House Bill 881, under these precepts, helps Georgia fulfill its responsibility of sound management of the wildlife resources of our state. And, Mr. Speaker, that is the bill. With any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
You have a question, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Chairman Setzler for a question. Chairman Knight for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Isn't the changes made in the Senate, aren't these the changes that we were referring to as far as the DNR tags and the fact that these tags are the voluntary contributions that are coming from our citizens to support that agency's work, especially in the non-game area?
The gentleman is correct.
And isn't also the changes were put in to make sure that the transparency was there such that there was a report back to the appropriations and the game, fish, and parks committee to make sure that we were aware of what they were doing and we could keep up with it every year.
The accountability and transparency is absolutely correct, Chairman.
Thank you. I want to applaud you for your work on this bill. Thank you.
You have no further questions?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and we ask for favorable consideration.
On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 881, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 168, the nays are 3, and this House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 881. Okay, we're going now to the supplemental rules calendar. The supplemental rules calendar. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 282. Senate Bill 282.
Senate Bill 282 by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd to amend Chapter 6, Article 1 of Chapter 11 of Title 19 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to alimony and child support and the Child Support Recovery Act. This bill having come before the Committee and Judiciary, the committee recommends the same do pass and be read for the third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Barr to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, this is a companion piece to House Bill 707, which we passed earlier. That's okay. The House will finish the work here if y'all will vote with me and support child support changes that we have out of the Child Support Commission. Are there any questions, Mr. Speaker?
You have a question. Do you care to yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes the Minority Caucus Whip, Representative Hughley, to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I misunderstand you? How is this related to 707?
This is the exact bill as 707. We simultaneously dropped them, and this bill
You're saying this is House Bill 707? Or Senate Bill 707?
701, I apologize.
Okay.
I apologize. I could see why there'd be some red flags there for you. With that, I yield the will.
He was doing a pretty good Representative Spencer look-alike too there. Gentleman has yielded the will. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of Senate Bill 282, the ayes are 161, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 290. Senate Bill 290.
Senate Bill 290 by Senator Burke of the 11th to amend Article 2 of Chapter 8 of Title 4 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to responsible dog ownership. This bill having come before the Committee on Judiciary. Committee recommends same do pass by committee substitute and be read for the third time.
Chair recognizes Chairman Powell, Chairman Jay Powell, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A couple of years ago, we passed a vicious dog bill, and since that time, there have been a couple of things that have cropped up in the state, and so this is pretty much a cleanup bill. The first thing that it does is it shortens some of the time periods. It took a little bit longer to get from the start of the process to the end of the process, so it shortens some time periods. It sets up a probate court as an alternative for somebody to appeal to, because the original statute said that if a person disagreed with a dog control officer, he or she would go to the dog control board, but not all counties have those. And so we have put in a mechanism that in those counties it would go to the probate court. Then there's a cleaner appeal procedure if you're dissatisfied with the result. And then finally, there's a section that just changes definition on sterilization of a dog. But pretty much it's a cleanup bill, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and ask for your favorable consideration.
Do you yield for questions?
A few.
Chair recognizes Representative Al Williams to your left for a question.
The gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
It's not true that I served with you on the Appropriation and Public Safety Committee.
Yes, sir.
Do you attribute your success in all these bills that you always cross your left leg over your right? Okay.
I do not know.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 290 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of Senate Bill 290. The ayes are 162, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 281. Senate Bill 281.
Senate Bill 281 by Senator Hill of the 32nd to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 18 and Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to state employees' health insurance plan. This bill having come before the Committee on Insurance Committee recommends the same do pass and be read for the third time.
Okay, Chair, just a minute. They need to know before I put you in the well that today is Chairman Setzler's birthday. So now take that into consideration as he goes in the well and as you vote, right, Mr. Chairman? Okay. Happy birthday, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes Chairman Setzler to present Senate Bill 281.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I understand there's a birthday party for me happening back home, and but we're here tonight, and I'm sure we'll be here for a while longer. So I won't waste any time in the well, but I do want to present to you SB 281. Very simple proposition, ensures that there's at least one high deductible health care plan provided to our employees across the state. High deductible plans typically are the lowest cost overall in any spending scenario. It incentivizes healthy lifestyles and, again, allows folks to carry their savings year to year with some good tax benefits. So if there's no further questions, or if there's no questions, Mr. Speaker, I would yield the well. Otherwise, I will yield for some questions.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I do.
Chair recognizes Representative Kirby to your left for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
I do.
Well, happy birthday, sir. And,
thank you, sir.
I just want to make sure this plan will cover a mature gentleman like yourself with the infirmities that you may be having in the near future.
Well, my wife would tell you the definition of mature does not always apply to me. But at my advanced age, it's certainly an interest of mine to ensure that it does. Mr. Speaker, with that, I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 281 will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of Senate Bill 281. The ayes are 167, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair also wants to wish birthday greetings to the chair. Is she hiding from me back there? Yeah. The chair of the State Properties Committee, Chairman Barbara Sims, his birthday is today. All right, we have a couple of announcements that wanted to be made. Chair recognizes Chairman Coleman of the Education Committee for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House Education Committee, at 6:45 up in 417 in the conference room, we will have an Education Committee meeting to take up a study committee resolution. So if you please, 417 up at 6:45 today.
Chair recognizes Chairman Alan Powell for an announcement. Chairman Alan Powell is not on the floor. All right, this House will be in recess for a dinner break until 6:50 p.m. 6:50 p.m. Oh, let me the most important part. You're not in recess yet. All right, we're going to be having barbecue. Legislators will be served in room 216, staff and others in room 230. And that's just so we can get everybody kind of in and out down there. So that's House members in room 216, staff and others in room 230. Hold on just a minute. Chair recognizes Chairman Parsons for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker. Members of the Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications Committee, I'd like to have a meeting in room 417 as soon as we break here for a study committee resolution. Shouldn't take long. Room 417, right as soon as we break. Thank you.
We'll be in recess until 6:50 p.m.